The first step in my Outer Banks research project was to sit down and think about how I typically think when it comes to vacations. This part of the process is formally known as meta-cognition, which literally means to think about our own thinking. It takes a bit to get the hang of, but once you get good at metacognition, you begin to figure out just what it is that you do think that allows things to occur. So I began to process through just how I had come to think about vacations that allowed me to turn them into times of overindulgence and not really enjoying the vacation as much as I could if I were self-disciplined. And as I thought about it, I realized that I was simply placing too much emphasis on enjoying food and drink, and not as much as I should have been on enjoying the activities, the experience, the environment, and the sensations of being at my vacation destination. I realized that I needed to put the focus on those things and not on eating and drinking. I realized that I could eat and drink anywhere. Vacations were times when I really didn't want to overeat and overdrink. That would actually make my vacation much better if I did not overeat and I did not overdrink. I realized that on vacations I would reason with myself that, I could just skip exercise. After all, I was on vacation. Again, that reasoning was faulty because I feel so much better when I do exercise. Why wouldn't I want to make exercising when I was on vacation actually happen? That would make more sense, wouldn't it? And the only time I ever get heartburn is when I eat or drink too much. So on vacation I would typically make sure that I had a healthy supply of Rolaids. That's really ridiculous thinking, the more I thought about it. I needed to be thinking of not producing any heartburn in the first place, and that actually made a lot more sense. I have a tendency to drink a few too many beers on vacation, which leaves me feeling bloated and sluggish and does add to the heartburn. A pretty simple solution is to stick to low-calorie, low-alcohol beers like MGD 64s. A simple way to cut down on calories and alcohol without being a prude on the beach or a party pooper. Another area I wanted to pay attention to is simply what I call staying in the moment. I have a tendency on vacations to think about things that I just shouldn't be thinking about while on vacation. Things like answering emails, scheduling clients, taking care of business. I don't want to think about those things when I'm on vacation. The very reason I'm on vacation is to not think about those things. What I should be thinking about are only the things that are in my viewfinder, my friends, the conversations, the beach, the water, the surroundings, swimming, fishing, kayaking, the things I am supposed to be enjoying. And as I thought more deeply about it, it occurred to me that somehow I had in my mind that enjoyment is derived from undisciplined behavior. And as I thought about that idea, it occurred to me that this was just really the opposite of what I want to be thinking. What I really want to be thinking is that enjoyment comes from being self-disciplined. That's when I really enjoy life the most, when I'm self-disciplined. And to drive that point home, I reminded myself of a book that I've recently written by Rory Vaden titled Take the Stairs. Rory's book is really about being self-disciplined, and the concept of taking the stairs reminds me that being self-disciplined in life means putting in that extra effort, not standing on the escalator. And vacation is a really good time to put in the extra effort to be active, to be self-disciplined, and to feel great. Now, I'm pretty good generally about paying attention to what I eat and drink, but even after 15 years of losing 70 pounds and maintaining my goal weight, I still pay close attention and calculate what I eat. And this year I'm involved in a year-long project to study metabolism, so I have to be paying a close attention to my caloric intake. Now, I could already sense in my brain that little hint of an idea that I should maybe just take the week off of this project, relax, and live it up. So I really felt I needed to address this thought before it even happened. I needed to be thinking that vacation was actually a very good time to keep working my project, and not a good time to make the excuse to take a week off. Finally, I really wanted to drill the idea that self-discipline and accomplishment are really far more enjoyable than eating and drinking. So I put together a final thought suggesting that my favorite food, if you will, is really self-discipline, and my favorite side dish is accomplishment. That's really what I want to enjoy, not eating and drinking. So these were the basic ideas that were going to go in my videotape. So the next step was to edit these thoughts into preferred ways of thinking. This is the process called negative or cognitive editing or cognitive restructuring. Like meta-cognition, cognitive editing can be a bit tricky at first, but with a little practice it becomes second nature. Through my editing process, I yielded 20 thoughts that would ultimately comprise the narrative for my videotape. I worked with these thoughts for a while, editing several times to get the narrative just the way I wanted it to be. My goal was to create a 2-minute video. Now generally I find that about 10 thoughts fit nicely into a 1-minute tape. This time was no exception. My 20 thoughts worked out to be almost exactly 2 minutes of narrative. Next, I shot this video on my MacBook Pro and then used iMovie to edit the video, adding transitions, background music, and dropping in some pictures. My goal with this effort was to activate as many neural circuits as I possibly could when watching the video. The pictures I dropped in were from my last Outer Banks trip, with the exception of one picture of a stairway, which I dropped in to remind me of the concept of taking the stairs, that reference to the book by the same name written by Rory Vaden. I believe that dropping in that simple picture and making a statement to myself about taking the stairs ignited an entire segment of my neural circuitry that houses the information I read in that book. And that makes that 4 seconds that the picture's on the screen extremely powerful. The soundtrack I dropped in was from a song called Simple Man, which is actually one of my favorite tunes. And again, the idea for that is to have that favorite music on the soundtrack and invoke the most positive feelings that I can possibly connect with the images and more importantly, the ideas on my tape. I would estimate that the time I spent making this 2-minute videotape was right about 2 hours from start to finish. Now, I am by no means a video expert. I bought my MacBook back in September of 2013 and iMovie was included on the operating system. One trip out to the internet to view a 15-minute tutorial and I was in business. After a few tries, I quickly gained proficiency at using the program. The tape that follows is this 2-minute tape that I put together for this research project. As you view the 2-minute tape, you will see the ideas that I'm focusing on, the ideas I wanted to be thinking on my vacation. So sit back, relax, and enjoy.